44 Days, the dark story of Junko Furuta. This narrative is based on true events and contains extremely violent, disturbing elements. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. On a cold November evening in 1988, in the outskirts of Tokyo, 17-year-old Junko Furuta was cycling home. Pedaling alone in the darkness of night, she suspected nothing. What she didn't know then was that the road ahead would lead her into one of the most horrific cases of torture ever recorded in history. Known for her beauty and innocent appearance, Junko was a diligent student at her school. She worked part-time to help her family, living her life in a normal way. But that evening, her life would change forever. As she moved along the dark street, a group of boys suddenly appeared before her. At their front was Hiroshi Miyano, 18, one of the most feared bullies at her school. Miyano had approached Junko before and been rejected. This rejection was reason enough for him to seek revenge. "It might be dangerous for you to go home," said Miyano with fake concern. "Let us take you." Junko, despite feeling the danger, was forced to accept the offer, fearing what might happen if she tried to escape. Miyano and his three friends, Joe Ogura, 17, Shinji Minato, 16, and Yasushi Watanabe, 17, took the girl to Minato's family home. Junko didn't know at that moment that this house would become her hell for 44 days. The house was a place where Minato's family was rarely present. The parents were mostly away, unaware of what their son was doing. Junko was raped on the first night. Under Miyano's leadership, the four young men attacked her in turns. This was only the beginning of an unimaginable cycle of torture. As days passed, the torture inflicted on Junko intensified. Court records document more than 400 instances of rape during her captivity. The young men invited their friends to the house, presenting Junko as entertainment. According to some estimates, nearly 100 different people were somehow involved in this crime. Junko once managed to reach a phone and tried to call the police. When caught, her punishment was severe. She was doused with fuel and set on fire. Miraculously, she survived, but after this incident, the torture intensified even more. Perhaps the most disturbing aspect of this story is that many people were aware of the situation, but did nothing. Minato's parents admitted they heard strange noises in their home, but didn't want to disturb their son. School classmates heard rumors, but no one reported to authorities. During her captivity, Junko's family filed a missing person report with the police. However, under threat from the bullies, Junko was forced to call her family and tell them she had run away and was safe. This was the last time her family heard her voice. Junko tried to escape multiple times. Each failed attempt resulted in more severe punishments. At one point, she was left naked outside on a cold winter night. Another time, she was locked in a freezer. By January 1989, Junko's condition had become critical. Her body was covered with burns, unrecognizable. She had lost bladder control due to the torture, which caused her to receive more violence from her tormentors. In her final days, she could no longer move. On January 4th, 1989, after an arcade game ball was dropped on her stomach and due to the burns on her body, she lost consciousness. Hours later, she died. The panicked young men, trying to destroy evidence, buried Junko's body in concrete and placed it in a drum. This is why the case became known in Japan as the Concrete-Encased high school girl murder. The young men were caught when their connection to Junko's murder was revealed after being arrested for another crime. However, Japan's juvenile justice system gave surprisingly light sentences to the perpetrators of this horrible crime. Hiroshi Miyano, 20 years in prison. The other three main perpetrators, 5, 10 years in prison. These sentences caused great controversy in Japanese society and led to calls for reform of the justice system. Junko Furuta's story is a painful reminder of how deep the darkness within humans can go. The hell she lived through for 44 days shows not only the heartlessness of four young men, but also the consequences of a society's collective silence. Today, her grave in Tokyo has become a place where people visit to pay their respects. Junko's memory lives on as a symbol in the search for justice for victims of violence. Perhaps the most bitter lesson from this story is that staying silent in the face of evil means becoming complicit in that evil. For 44 days, there were hundreds of opportunities to save Junko, but no one took action. When darkness falls and the streets grow quiet, we should all think, whose screams did we not hear today? And tomorrow, what will we do to prevent a similar tragedy?